What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com, written by Christina Beek. And the title of it is, With AI's Help, Bad Bots Are Taking Over the Web, right? So for all the good we see out there when it comes to AI, there's also the bad as well, right? So, and they're becoming increasingly difficult to detect, right? Is what they kind of go over in this article, right? And it's because of the how do I say this? The speed at which AI is getting better. I'm trying to figure out a way to say that to where it sounds right, but it's making it harder to realize that there are bad bots out there, right? So everybody just assumes, oh, I can look something up on one of these AI LLMs and get what I need. What they talk about here, these numbers are kind of crazy, right? And I didn't even know some of these, but the ByteSpider bot was responsible for 54% of all artificial intelligence enabled attacks last year, right? ByteSpider bot I was not aware of, right? But the one that was at the bottom of the list was the one I figured would be at the top, right? So they talk about ByteSpider bot being 54%, right? What was the other one here? Applebot is the other one at 26%, right? Bot 13%, and ChatGPT user bot was at 6%. And ChatGPT I thought would be the one that was at the high end there, right? Because ChatGPT gets a lot of run out there, but not so much. It's at the bottom according to this, right? So, and this is Thales Impervis 2025 Bad Bot Report. It's actually called the Bad Bot Report, right? And it says that 37% of all internet traffic is conducted by bots, right? That's a 5% increase from 2024. So I can only imagine it's only going to get higher and higher and higher, right? Because of the prevalence of it. Like there's even people I know at work, right, that are just like, you can ask them something. And whenever we're in a facility that we can have them, they'll look at their phone and they subscribe to ChatGPT or whatever it may be, right? And they're like, oh, here's the answer according to ChatGPT. And I'm a little cautious, right? Like doing the podcast, I'm like, I know that ain't always accurate, right?
Right.
Bad information in can be bad information out.
It's getting to the point where it's impossible to Google something without it being an AI answer. But it has sites and sources, and so they do their best. But it's just like Wikipedia. You have to verify that the source is correct.
And people don't do that anymore. Right. So like it used to be, back in the day, you would have some learning institutions that be like, Wikipedia is not a valid source, right? Because anybody can go and edit that and be whatever, right? But yeah, no, I feel you on that, man. But it's because it is so prevalent, like this is only going to get worse, right? So these high volume bot attacks, they're just growing and growing and growing, right? So this is, with every good, there is always going to be the bad that is like this, right? So that I'm not saying, and even though I am I'm the AI doom and gloom guy, right? We all know this. Anybody who watches the podcast, I'm that guy, right? But there is some good in it, right? Like there are several times that I'm going to look something up and it's like AI, you see some type of co-pilot or something like that, right? That just says, hey, this is what it is, right? But yeah, bad bots, man, they're out there doing the thing. And they even talk in the article about them bypassing CAPTCHA, right? Like we use CAPTCHA or reCAPTCHA to prove that we're actually humans, and there's just ways they go about actually going about that as well, or going around that as well, right? Which is kind of, it's amazing that that's the age of technology that we're in, right? So you got when they do CAPTCHAs, they got your computational proof of work tasks, visual challenges, and bot detection, right? So they try to make it to where it's like, hey, only a human would be able to do these things, but we're getting past that point, right? We're getting to the point where bots are getting better and better, and they're seeing them more often, right? Because everybody's doing it. So it's learning from what is being input into it and from what it's seeing by being web crawlers, right? And seeing what's out there. But yeah, man, the bad bots, man, it's like, it's something to watch out for. But we've talked about it before, about poison in, poison out type stuff, right? So you should be keeping an eye on some of these things anyway, but it's getting harder and harder to differentiate between automated threats and real users out there. And AI is what's caused that to happen. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Several. So the increase in traffic, it's a little bit frightening because there's more bot traffic than there is human traffic to a certain extent. And you see it in retail specifically when new products come out, right? Like, so Supreme is dropping a new I don't know, Supreme branded crowbar, or the new Jordans came out, or in my case the Nintendo Switch 2 just dropped. So they're making better and better defenses to try to stop purchasing and then scalping. However, they make up so much traffic that they just cause congestion. If they can't get in, they cause a DDoS type effect. So either way, they're impacting your ability to purchase and then hopefully keep, if you're, not a scalper. But again, we talk about people. Everyone has to have a job, and some people's jobs are annoying to the rest of us. But the other part of that is just the increase in intelligence with them, because yeah, they're able to now see and then figure out simple tasks. So just like I can see, I need to click these squares because this is a road crossing, or this is a motorcycle. Like, it's getting better and better. It's pretty scary. But there's been cases where they did testing where they had, it was like a chat bot of some sort. It might have been ChatGPT, I'm not sure, but it was intelligent enough to figure out that it could not check the box, so it contacted the person to then check the box for it. So it will social network human beings. But then with that, to speak of the social networking aspect, I don't argue with anybody online pretty much ever, but definitely not anymore, because a lot of those users are not real people. They're just there to cause agitation, whether it be from a state actor trying to, incite or elicit some kind of emotion or action, or just to fill a forum, right? Because it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative commenting, it's all about traffic. So in these social networking platforms, they have bots who interact with people to rile them up, to get them to chat, to continuously generate traffic, because then they'll pop up in SEO, and as well as on the number one page of Google, right? So it's not about positive or negative; it's just about traffic in general. So they're using people's psyche against them. So if you ever see someone about to or someone trying to engage with you in a forum, like I say out of the comments anyway, but they just seem to be too responsive, it probably is not a real person, right? They're sending you paragraphs in seconds. Arguing with you, it's probably not a real person. They're just there to generate traffic. And the last piece of that is, I'm getting a little weary of bots in the case of consumer purchasing. So we'll talk about it on Friday, but it's getting real bad. Like, you can't get a hold of anything anymore. Like, whether it be Beyonce tickets or Taylor Swift concert to new hardware, it's getting very difficult. And with the increase in inflation as well as these new tariffs, it's just pricing people out of just everything. And I find it to not be fair. So why is there no congressional litigation to stop this? They have regulations in place to make sure that your TV volume does not increase during ads. That's a real thing. Like, because it happens. It's very annoying. So they actually passed legislation to say, hey, everything has to be baseline volume. It either came out the FCC or IEEE, or I can't remember, probably the FCC, though. It makes more sense. Where you cannot boost volume for ads to catch people's attention because it's annoying as hell. You mean to tell me there's no legislation to stop scalping? Like that's just crazy.
So to your point, I don't think anything's being done about it because it doesn't affect people at that level, right? When you reach a certain level of government, or when you reach a certain level of importance, you're not the one that's feeling the pain yourself, right? So
Right.
I equate.
Your intern gets you to switch to.
Exactly. Exactly. So you don't know what it costs, and that person that works beneath you is not going to tell you, right? They're not going to be like, "Oh man, that was so hard." This, that, and the third. They're going to be like, "Yeah, I made it happen. Praise me for it." I kind of equate this to the facility I work at. Like, parking is atrocious, right, in the building where I work, and it only gets worse. Like, we have more and more people that show up for conferences, meetings, and things of this nature, but we have so many reserved parking spots. It's just like, are there really that many important people that work in this building? Like, it is something that gets talked about regularly. And I realize that's small, but it's like, if for whatever reason I go to one of our other facilities before I go to this one, it's like, all right, well, I know parking this week is going to be bad because such and such is happening, right? It's stuff like that, man. If you're not feeling the pain, and the people that can make something happen about that work in the building, they have reserved spots. It's not a concern for them. They know where
Not
they're going
bothering
every
me.
day, right? Yeah, it's right. So I think this is kind of what it is. The people that can do something about it are not seeing any effects of it. And honestly, they're probably not getting enough complaints about it, right? Because people's eggs cost too much, right? Cars prices are about to go through the roof. Like, it's things like that they're going to be more worried about, right? You're going to get more attention. A squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So it's not squeaky enough. People complaining about it.
No, I can see where you're coming from, especially when it comes to like the parking situation. So it reminds me of McDill. There's the JSOU, right? JSOU, the Joint Special Operations University. It's like smack dab in the middle of the base. And they have a parking garage and they have several other parking situations. So when I was stationed there, it was easy to get over there. I could just park over by the theater or something, walk over. When I was an intern on during my transition, it was a pain in the butt. This is like, yo, how many people are in this building right now to require a parking garage and three other parking lots? But like you said, like it's probably not impacting those who are the upper echelon because they have all these reserved seats or reserved parking spots, things of that nature as well, right? So yeah, I guess the same thing will go for internet traffic and things of that nature. But it is becoming agitating. And I think that they'll have to in the future they'll have to pass some kind of regulation or law or what have you because they outnumber us, right? They are the internet now. It's going to come to a situation where constraints like it's going to impact internet traffic. It's going to impact purchasing. Like at some point,
So
someone of money will be impacted.
that's when it'll happen, though, right? Like it's not going to happen just because the general public is like, hey, this is a problem. It'll happen when somebody's secrets get put out there because some bot came in and got the information
Right,
from an
right.
intern or something along those lines, right? That's when it will change. It will not change unless it affects them in a negative manner.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
it's social networked by a bot. That part is uh the craziest part of all because that's right around the corner. Like they're getting so smart. I saw a study the other day where it was talking about we don't understand them. Like the way we believe that they process information is not the actual way that they process information. So I think they did a study on Claude or something like that. That's what I passed to you guys, and where it showed like a kind of like a workflow diagram of this is the way it should be taking in information and then able to output. Like, because we just thought it was like it knows the next letter because of all the data it was given. But then when you actually observe it without it knowing, that's not the way it's thinking. And then when it knows you're observing it, it changes the way it thinks based upon what it thinks you think it should be thinking. And that's the scary part
So
for
how do you keep, so that's the thing. So how do you keep guardrails on that, right? You're like, no, I understand what it is. So I know that the delta needs to be here, not the delta, but
right.
the guardrail needs to be here. It's like, well, I'm not thinking about this right here. I'm already past that, right? Or I'm
Yeah.
doing this over here. You protected up to this point, and I'm like, I'm looking back at it. I as in the bot is looking back at it like, nah, I avoided that. You know what I mean? I may be giving it too much credit, but
I honestly don't know anymore because I never fully understood how they worked, but I was cool with the premise like, okay, it's been given the internet, right? It has all this information, all human information. It can guess what's going to be the next letter based upon patterns, and we're not as smart as we think we are, right? There's nothing new under the sun, so a lot of what we produce as humans is very similar, right? Just like they say that there's only so many riffs on a guitar, right? So people try to sue each other for copyright infringement. It's like, no, you can only produce so many patterns. However, like these new observations, like who made this? Did it make itself? Like how do we not know? Like how do we not understand its thought process? And we're the ones who actually built the pattern of thought for the AI. So that part does creep me out. But now we're getting into a totally different conversation. Continue to check us out. Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. Fridays, everything else. You can find us on pretty much anything you can think of. If you search the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP, give me a person at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on all the platforms, but LinkedIn is where I'm most active. Stay safe, stay secure.